Hey guys, if you watched the last episode we had here on Stags in the Wild, you saw that we gave a little quick overview of the shop, and more importantly, we showed our new partner, Meat Your Maker. We're so excited that they've given us this 1.5 horsepower grinder to start taking care of our deer, because as you know, we've killed well over triple digits in deer, and our philosophy here has always been drop them off at the processor and get back in the tree at the same afternoon. That's how we get so many hunts in a year's time. Well, if you watched that, you know that our favorite processor quit taking deer, quit accepting deer, and we looked around and finally found one that we liked, but he wanted it deboned. Well, at that point, you might as well just grind it yourself. So we kind of wanted to take control of this process, and we spent a lot of money on getting deer ground up and cut up and everything. So this whole episode is going to be about us taking control and starting this venture ourselves. And I'm going to lay the framework for you. We're not an expert here. In fact, if you see something that we could be doing better, leave it in the comments down below. We'd love to interact with you. We'd love to get your experience, because we're just taking off on this. But I know there's going to be a ton of people in the same boat that we are, that were scared to do your own deer processing. You know, we've got bees flying around is what we've got, but we've got a lot of experience killing deer, very little processing it ourselves. I mean, we've cut up a lot of steaks, and we've done a lot of roasts, but I've never ground my own meat. So this episode is going to be about grinding our own meat. So stick around, come back, and let's figure out how to do this together. We'll work through it so that by the time you watch this video and you get your own equipment, you'll be miles ahead of where we are today. Okay guys, so here's one of the things that we learned early on, is that you saw that we've got an electric hoist here. We're so excited about that. And what I did was I deboned all the deer. We had one hanging here that we brought home to the shop. Gabe killed one. We deboned it out in the field in Illinois. So got that one deboned and packed it out in our Stag Stealth Pack. Some of you guys saw that on Facebook and some of the groups. But we ended up with a lot of deboned meat, right? And at the time we were still hunting hard, and we still are, but we didn't have a lot of time to mess with it at that point. So what I did was I threw it into the freezer and we froze it for a while. Well, a week went by or so, and then we were like, well, now we're ready to work it up, and we got it out of the freezer. And it started unthawing, and it's hard to control that thawing process, right? We ended up putting it in a big cooler that I'm looking at right here behind the camera. Put it in a big cooler, and I went and got ice bags from a local, ice store, and we were trying to manage it that way, but it's hard to control the temperature, right? So here's what we did. Yesterday, and my wife can pan the camera around. Yesterday we had a brand new shop fridge delivered to the shop. And specifically just so that when we debone a deer, we can put it in bags, and we bought some little cheap meat lugs to put it in. And this is all about just storing the meat until we get a chance to work it up. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it on over. This is all deboned venison. What we did, guys, is we did a lot of research and figured out a lot of people use pork fat or beef fat. The last time we got hamburger meat made from a commercial meat shop, they used pork fat. I loved it. And so I was looking at getting pork fat, and I made some called around to some people who actually worked at that shop. And one of the guys said, you could probably use bacon ends. It's pork fat, but with a little bit more, it's the stuff that's left over when they make bacon. And I got to think about it, like, man, that would make a really good grind. Because in the past, we've done a 90-10 blend, meaning 90 venison, 10 fat, right? We did that for many, many years. Then we went a little bit to an 80-20 blend, and it was almost a little too much fat left over when we cooked it up in the frying pan. It was borderline. So I got to think, like, what if I did an 80-20 blend with bacon ends? Because it's going to be a little bit less fat than a 20% full 20% blend. But it's going to add a little bit of pork meat to it, which I think is going to give my burger grind a really great flavor. So that's what we did. Let me go over here and get the bacon ends. I'll show you what they look like, and then we'll start weighing them out and get the show on the road. Okay, guys. So here are our bacon ends, rather. So you can see a lot of it here is pork fat with a little bit of. This is what they made the bacon in. So you can see it looks sort of like just big old thick country bacon but just ends left over. So there's a great piece right there, and this whole tray is just full of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure out, and again, we're going to use an 80-20 blend. So 80% venison, 20% of this, and just to keep it really simple, I'm probably going to do 10 pounds at a time. 10 pounds of venison, 2 pounds of bacon ends, make it a 80-20 blend, and then we're going to start stuffing it through here, and we'll show you how to do this. We're going to start off with a full, big, open grind, the biggest they have here, and we'll show you a little close-up of that, and then we're going to switch to a second grind. We'll start stuffing some hamburger bags here that we've got, and we've got a neat little taper thing here that takes off, and it's going to look just like it came from a store. The bags are like, I don't know, 20 bucks or so from Amazon. We'll leave a link down below. This thing was $17.90 or something like that from Amazon. We'll leave a link for that down below, and we're just going to show you how easy this process is, hopefully. Again, we're doing it together. Okay guys, we've already weighed the meat lug here. It weighs about approximately 2.5 pounds. So again, I want to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 pounds. And this is going to be a little big, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've got an extra outdoor edge knife here. I love these things. This is what I use to filter my gear. I use it a lot of times. They've got these replaceable blades, but all I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm chopping it up into somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 1.5 inch chunks. Okay, that's what I want because I think it'll go through the grinder pretty easy. Now, with this 1.5 pound grinder, 1.5 horsepower grinder rather, I've been told it'll go through a lot, right? But you can see this was just a big old piece of back ham that I took off. I knew I was going to grind everything, so I really wasn't worried about trying to get roasts out of it or steaks or whatever. We're desperately needing hamburger meat right now. So again, this cuts pretty easy because it's been in that freezer and then the fridge, but we just want chunks like that's going to go through that throat of that grinder pretty easy. Okay guys, as you can see, we were just throwing meat in there. The great thing about having it on the scale is you can see the scale go down until you get to where you want it to. Again, we're going to do a 80-20 ratio, so 10 pounds venison, 2 pounds of bacon ends here. And so we stopped at, I bumped it, we stopped at 12.5 because this meat lug weighs 2.5 pounds by itself. So that's 10 pounds of meat. Subtract the meat lug from the venison. So now we're going to add 2 pounds. So it was at 12.5, we need to get 14.5 by adding the bacon ends in. But so now we've got an 80-20 ratio with 10 pounds of venison, 2 pounds of, I'm just going to set this back here out of the way. So again, looking here, I'll just show you, we've got the coarse, see these big, huge holes here. This grinder comes with 3 different plates. So this is the coarse grind. See these huge, big plates here? That's going to be our first pass through. Then you can go to the medium or the fine. Most people never ever use this fine, and I really don't anticipate doing it as well. So we're going to run the first pass through with this coarse. We're going to come back with a second pass and show you what it looks like going through with a medium. And that's pretty much the grind that everyone packages up for burger meat and everything, for stew, chili, everything that they use stuff for, right? So first pass through. And I'm telling you, this thing is a beast, guys. I'm so looking forward to seeing what this thing does. So we're just going to grab some here, put it in. Now it does come with this plunger thing here that you can put it in, but it kind of already just falls in on its own. And I'm going to go ahead and get it loaded. In other words, get that tube, this length of tube here filled. Everyone says you don't want to run that grinder, empty or dry without putting stuff down in it first. So I don't really know if we're going to need this. A lot of people say you don't. I've watched several videos where people really don't use it. This is a pretty big hopper, guys, and so I can load up. Again, you saw we did 10 pounds of venison, 2 pounds of bacon ends, and that's all I've got left in my meat lug here. So the bulk of it is already in the grinder hopper. So we've got it plugged up, we've got it on forward. I've got this nice little foot pedal here, so let's go ahead and get it going. Again, guys, this is just going to be our first grind through here. We're just chunking it up. And I'm telling you, I don't even know if I can keep up with this thing. Obviously, it's grinding as quick as I can put it through there. And I'm going to let off there. So that's what it looks like, guys. It's already a pretty rough, coarse grind, but pretty awesome just how quickly it goes. Okay, guys, you can see how quickly this thing is making really short work of this. In fact, my wife and I were talking just a little bit ago, and when I said something about doing a 10-to-2 ratio, she goes, you may want to go ahead and up that to a 20-to-4 real quick, because you're going to go through 10-to-2 really quickly, and this thing is just chewing through it like nobody's business. And that's our philosophy. If you guys have seen the tree house that we built, the deck we built, we've kind of got a philosophy of go big or go home. I don't want to ever underbuy anything, underbuild. So if I'm going to buy a grinder, it's going to be one of the biggest and baddest and best, and this is it, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, so now it's easy. You can see that pork mixed in there. That's going to give me, again, you saw that it's not quite, when I bought those bacon ends, it's not quite pure pork fat. It's got some pork meat into it, which again, I think is just going to contribute to a great burger flavor here. But this has just kind of got it mixed in. We're going to grind up the rest of the meat, and then we're going to swap this out. We're going to take the time to show you this. And once we get all our meat, and I've still got more in the fridge over there I'm going to go get. So we've got quite a bit of meat to grind up. And then what I do, I'm going to show you how easy it is to swap this out, put that medium grinding blade in there, and then it will grind it for the final time. Guys, this is pretty simple. Okay, guys, one thing we've learned in this process is to kind of spread out a little bit. We actually started taking advantage of the workbench here that I tie all my catfish rigs and stuff on. But we had this, and again, we had the scale up here, had the meat lug on top of it, filled it up. This time we did 26.5, so we've got 20 pounds of venison, 4 pounds of bacon ends here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it up just a little bit. That's the great thing about these big old meat lugs here is they hold 50 pounds of meat. If you stop at 25 like we did, 26.5 with the meat lug itself, you got plenty of room here to kind of mix it up. And then again, the grinder's going to mix it up even more. And again, you can see the size of chunks we got here. Just hand-sized chunks are going to go through that throat. Again, you can watch it go through here. So see that? I mean, they just drop in. I mean, that's even bigger, but look how easy it just, if it can make it in that throat, I guarantee you this grinder can take care of it, okay? You'll also see, for the most part, I mean, it's just a little bit of silver skin, not much. I've got most of the ligaments out, most of the silver skin off. The great thing about grinding your own meat, guys, is, well, number one is you can verify, you know without a shadow of a doubt, it's your deer, right? That was the biggest thing early in my deer hunting days before I found a shop that I really trusted and really liked. And I know for a fact one time, I did not get my deer back. I took in a young Illinois doe, and one of the reasons why a lot of people love eating venison in our house is I shoot a lot of grain-fed deer, right? It's raised on corn and soybeans. It's not any different than grain-fed beef. I took a young Illinois deer into this meat processor. It's out of business now for good reason. And in Cape Girardeau, and I got back this tangy, nasty, acidic tasting deer. And there's no doubt it was an old Missouri deer that had been raised on acorns, right? So the ability to know beyond a shadow of doubt, this going into the burger bags is your deer. Love that. Also, you control the process of, hey, however little you want to trim it, however much you want to trim it, you can do. So again, here's the coarse grind. Again, guys, if it goes into this throat, I don't think this grinder is going to have any problem whatsoever with it. If you want to use this thing but really, there's no need. This is with this grinder, I hate to say it's almost worthless, right? I mean, I don't know if I'll ever use that, to be honest with you, because if it can fall in that throat, this grinder is going to gonna use it. And I'm not really worried about sticking my hand in there. The auger blade is way down here. I would have to stick my hand, you can see I'd have to stick my hand all the way to there to get it in there. So, just doing what I'm doing, guys. I'm not really worried about a safety issue at all. Again, if you feel more comfortable using this thing, by all means do it. I don't think it's gonna be necessary.
But do please be careful.
My wife's like, yeah, just please be careful. The good thing, I make most of my money with my brain, not my hands, so
oh my gosh,
you'd still be
Gregory.
Fine. It would stop my bow hunting though, so yeah, we gotta be careful. Okay guys, just because I don't see a lot of this, so there's a lot of grinding videos out on YouTube, right? And I'm trying to do this one a little different because, again, I'm a newbie. I'm wanting us to all learn together. So this is, again, a 50-pound meat lug from Meat Your Maker. You guys saw the first run I did 10 pounds plus 2, that 80-20 ratio, right? So there was 12 pounds. The second run I did through here, just finished it, was 20 plus 4. So now we've got, if you add that up, what that is, 12 plus 24, we've got 36. So this is 36 pounds of meat, this first grind. I just want to show you how much it, and this is, in my mind, this is pretty good. Leaves enough room that, you know, you can kind of mix it up. Now, obviously it went through the first grind, it got mixed a little bit, but if you want to kind of mix it up a little bit, make sure that bacon fat kind of gets in through there and infused and is a good medium, good mix. That gives you enough room. I really wouldn't want to put too much more, even though this is a 50-pound meat lug and we've got 36 pounds of hamburger in it. To me, you can see how much it comes out. That's pretty good. Now, another thing I want to point out, you'll notice we've got 2 meat lugs. Okay, I think you need 2. The way we've been doing this is 2 is pretty good here. And you notice we're working on stainless steel top. I actually went to what I did is I went to a restaurant supply store and special ordered this. I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500, somewhere through there. But so now all I did is swap them out, and we're ready to go ahead and put this meat back in for our second grind. Now the second grind we're going to swap out to this medium grind here. And what a lot of people do, now I want to see how it comes out because, again, this is our very first time ever doing this. So I kind of want to see what it looks like coming out. Make sure it's the end result we want. But a lot of people at this point right here, when they swap this out, the coarse grind for the fine, they go ahead and use this. Now Meat Your Maker supplies this, and this fits in right behind that. And what this does is once you get this on, so I would put this in here like this, and then swap out the grind, right, and put it back on. Now a lot of people, what this does is you can just put the bag on right here and fill straight into the bag. I'm not going to do that at first just because this is my first time ever using this and I kind of want to see what it looks like before we do that. But when we get ready to stuff those hamburger bags, this is absolutely what we're going to do. So let's change out the grind coarseness blade here from coarse to medium, and then we're going to start getting through here, and I just want to see what it looks like. So here's the one we just took off, guys. This is the big coarse grinder. You can see it has these big holes. I'm going to overlay it. Here's the medium one. This is the one we're about to switch to, and this will be our second grind. It will also be our final grind because once this all comes through, it's going to look like the hamburger meat that comes from a store, from a meat processing place, from a grocery store. That's pretty much going to be the final one for us. So we're going to grind it twice. This was first grind. This is going to be the second grind. What we're doing here, guys, is just getting out the little bit of burger that's kind of trapped in here, just so that. One thing I want to point out, guys, is I pulled, this was kind of stuck behind the blade in the end of the auger. You can go ahead and just fish that on out and we'll run it back through again. So I just want to point that out, that there's nothing wrong with having something behind there and it didn't get ground. We'll run it back through and grind it again. And also, I just said that I wanted to kind of see what it looks like before I fill the bags. I'm not going to run all of it through. I just want to sample. I just want to see what it looks like before, because I've never seen it come out, right? This is my very first time. But I'm not going to run all 36 pounds through there. I just want to run a pound or so. I mean, just enough to literally see and go, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And I'm going to stop. And then I'll put this thing on, okay? So, guys, here's the first grind, right? And so, again, we went from 2, 3, 4 inch squares So now we've got this, right? So I can tell you it feels vastly different than the first time when I was doing it. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like. So there's the medium. That's what a lot of people fill their hamburger bags with. And my wife is filming this. I'm going to let her give her opinion because she's the one that's really going to be cooking. I supply the meat, she cooks it.
I like it.
You like it, honey?
It looks good, babe.
Okay, so we can stop and we'll start filling bags with that, right?
Yep, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay, guys. Again, we've got our big box of wild game meat bags. I bought these off Amazon. Again, we'll put the link below in the description of the video. And so we're going to use this tube here and go ahead and fill it up here with this. This is actually now where I can see why you have this, because it doesn't fall in there as easy. See, we're learning. I told you we were going to learn together, right? It's all about learning. Nice thing with the foot pedal is you can stop it anytime you want. But yeah, once you get to this first grind, I can tell you it's going to take a little bit of pressure. And so what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to stop it about right there. Again, we're learning. We're going to experiment. My wife likes about, what do you like, about a pound?
Yeah, at least a pound, pound and a half. I don't like the 2 pound, I've decided.
Okay. So
a generous pound is good.
The top is pounds, underneath is kilograms. There's a pound and a couple ounces, right?
That's perfect.
So,
yeah, I like that.
And we stopped it just shy of that black label right there, the end of that black label.
You could go a little bit lower, I think.
A little lower, maybe.
Yeah.
Somewhere in through.
Yes.
So,
I think. Oh, yeah. See, what's the
So look
marks?
at that. It looks like it's got a fill line right there.
Oh, isn't
Well,
that ingenious?
That's genius. So stop it just shy of that fill line.
You're close, babe.
Close. Okay. And I'm going to twist it. And we've got this little thing. Look at this. Look at that.
Professional.
Yeah. That thing is $17, guys. It's well worth it.
That is worth it.
So, again, it looks just like we picked it up at the meat processor. And so, guys, we're gonna take the rest of, I don't know, another 20, 30 minutes. We've actually got a couple more meat lugs we're gonna grind up today, this afternoon. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, found it helpful. I kind of wanted this video to be something like, hey, we're not professionals. and a lot of the ones you see out there are professionals. And this is just us learning along with you guys. I'm super, super happy with this. I think it's going to be fantastic. The ability to take control of your meat, to do everything, to do it when you want. You know, here's the cool thing. If I didn't have time right now to do this, I could put it back in the fridge and do it tomorrow. I mean, this is awesome. So anyway, thanks for being with us, guys. I appreciate you subscribing and watching and all that stuff, supporting us at what we do here. We love you. Thank you very much. See you the next one on down the road. Here was a blooper you saw. So in the video we just did, we did it up there. My wife's like, could you do it down here? You know what? If you hold it and put it way up here, look at that. It does it down there. Now it really looks professional.
Blooper.
Well, hey guys, I just got back from this morning's hunt, and on the way back and forth, I got to thinking about blooper number 2. So you heard us talk about all throughout this video that we were doing an 80-20 ratio, right? 10 pounds of venison and 2 pounds of bacon ends. Well, I got to thinking about that a little bit more, and that's actually not an 80-20 ratio. I've never claimed to be a math major, right? So if you add that together, that's 12 pounds, 2 pounds of 2 pounds in that of 12, 2 out of 12 is actually 16.66%. I Googled it to make sure. So actually you would need an 8 to 2 ratio if you're going to do a true 20%. But I will tell you, if you stuck around this long because you're probably somebody's just dying to say, that's not 20%, it's 16.66%. So you're right. But you know what, we're really happy with the way that turned out. And then the second thing I want to follow up on, when you saw me using that plunger to push the second grind on through, it took a while to get it going, but really after we cut the video and stopped filming and I kept on just, then I started just loading them up, right? I was loading bag after bag after bag. Once that process got going, I didn't really have to use the plunger near as much as I did, as you saw in the first part of that video. It really started, that auger started really pulling it on through, and once you kept that fill tube full, it became a much easier process. So I did want to point that out. It looked harder than it was. That was because it was the very first initial part of it. It got a lot easier after that. So anyway, that's our show for you today. Thanks for sticking around and watching for this long, because I know someone was just dying to point out it wasn't 20%.